Welcome to the 2012 and 13 Gather Magazine Bible Study, Gathered by God. I'm excited about this study because I believe it represents a theme that is so important in the biblical witness. In the beginning, God gathers the waters at creation, making order out of chaos and forming the lands on which we live. The Israelites gather manna in the wilderness. Shepherds gather their sheep. Vineyard owners gather grapes. Kings gather their people. Exiles are gathered from afar when God brings them back to the land. Nations gather for war. The assembly gathers for worship. Pilgrims gather for festivals. Crowds gather around Jesus. Disciples gather for prayer. Whole cities gather to hear prophets, priests, and preachers tell of the deeds that God has done, is doing still, and will do until the end of time. The 9 sessions of this study are organized around the key word gather, particularly as it appears in several books of the New Testament. Each session explores a different reason or purpose for which we are gathered by God. For example, we're gathered for rest, for shelter, for koinonia fellowship, and for sharing stories that remind us who we are and whose we are. We're gathered to learn, to be empowered, and to be sent as God's witnesses in a world that was created by God's own gathering hand. As we get into this study, there are several important things to keep in mind, but one especially that I want to highlight. Each book of the Bible, and that includes the New Testament, each book is a theological writing. That is, the authors are concerned to convey the truth about God's relationship to humankind and creation. They write with an agenda. In the New Testament, that agenda is to testify to the good news of Jesus Christ for the sake of the world. These are not indifferent accounts. And so, as we study each of these books, we'll want to let each one speak for itself. For example, when we're in the Gospel of Mark, we'll study Mark. When we're in Acts, we'll listen to what Acts has to say. Along the way in our study, we'll have a chance to ask questions and seek answers in several different areas of biblical study. For example, we'll explore the social and cultural world, the historical world, we might say, that lies behind the biblical text. We'll also look inside the books of the Bible themselves and see what they have to say in their own terms. We might call this the literary world within the text. We'll look at words and sayings and themes and characters and how those are portrayed by each of the writers. We'll also take a look at our own world, where we live on this side of the Bible, taking account of our experiences and how God has been active in our own lives and what the Holy Spirit brings to mind for us as we study. What that means is that this study really depends on you. It depends on you to bring your insights, your experiences, and your questions to the text and to the gathered group that is studying together each month. We hope that you'll bring some of those insights and experiences to the Facebook page, the Gather Facebook page, and share those with other people around the country who are also doing the study. Along the way, we're planning to learn a little bit of Greek. We'll take a sideways glance at related themes and dig deeper into selected topics. We'll share our insights with one another. We'll seek to uncover and discover how God might be inviting us to know and experience ourselves and our neighbors and the world and even God in new or different ways. We are so glad that you are sharing in this journey as together, all of us are gathered by God.